I'm Julian.
I'm Katie.
I'm Michelle.
We're excited to present to you today our solution for your product.
So the people that we've talked to so far, we focused more on hops and vineyards after we looked at the list of fungi that you sent us. So we talked to Miss Slater, who owns Slater Run Vineyards up in Northern Virginia. We talked to the owner of Hip Hop Hills Farm, which is a hops farm out in, I think, Earlysville. Janet Smith, who is a pesticide application specialist from University of Michigan. And we reached out to a couple orchards and other breweries, but we're still waiting on responses from them. So Hip Hop Hills Farm is a hops farm that's grows locally, and we got some really good information about the hops market in Virginia from him. He has a very small farm. He currently has 4 acres that he grows his hops on, but he's going down to 1 because growing hops in Virginia is not ideal, just because the climate in Virginia is so untrustworthy and it just fluctuates and it's never the same. And for hops, having a consistent climate is super important. Either you need a hot and dry or wet and cold, but it can't be hot and wet and dry and cold. It doesn't quite work for growing hops. But one thing that he did tell us is that organic really does appeal to people who grow hops because it's a very meticulous and precise growing process. So having something organic that you can spray on your crops is something that's really important. But it is super expensive. So smaller hops farms would probably be more interested in looking into using organics because it can cost a lot of money for a 20-acre farm of hops to be sprayed. So I think our main consensus for the hops market is to look outside of Virginia, possibly more into the north, like Nantucket area, because the climate is much more controlled and it is more ideal for growing hops.
And so since this biofungicide is labeled as organic, we should emphasize this label because it's more appealing to people. And so as Ms. Slater said with our conversation with her, she said that if there wasn't a lot of organic wineries in Virginia, and I was able to find one. It's called Loving Cup. And I contacted the owner of it. His name is Mr. Hand. And currently, he said that Lovely Cup was using 3 types of biofungicides, and they're elemental, so like copper and sulfur, environmental and biological. And he mentioned that he really liked this brand. It's called Safeguard, but it's really expensive. It's like $150 per pound. But since this is a biological spray, the immune response in the plant lasts up to 2 weeks, so it's not as expensive if you think of it that way. And he actually said that he was really interested in lactose, and he was able to explain to me the process that it has to go through to be able to use this biofungicide. And so because his winery is organic, that means it has to be certified by his certifier. So to fast track this process, lactose can get a certification for organic production, through OMRI or WSD, and you can just bring this certification into their certifier and you can certify this product for them to be able to use it.
We talked to Ms. Carrie Slater. She runs a non-organic vineyard up in Northern Virginia, and from her, we mainly wanted to find out what requirements it would take to get your product into her vineyard or any other vineyard in Virginia. And the top 2 requirements, along with a list of other requirements, is that your product has to be labeled for vineyard use and certified for vineyard use, and labeled and certified for food and beverage prep. However, alongside with that, as Katie mentioned earlier, there is a climate factor that goes along with it, since the climate in Virginia is very inconsistent. So it's really hard for your product to consistently interact with the crops, since we can't really determine what can be, how it can be used on it. As well as we don't we need to figure out if your product is systematic or contact. Systematic is if your product will work throughout the entirety of the crop when it has diseases on it. Meanwhile, contact is if, let's say, a portion of the crop has a disease on it, would your lysose interact with just that certain portion of the crop?
So we were able to research the topmost treatable fungi, and as well as find where these fungi exists on fruits and vegetables. So the top two are cladosporum, which they exist on cucumber scabs, grapes, and tomato leaves, and Botrytis. They exist on bell pepper, tulips, onions, blueberries, pears, and strawberries. And so since lysose biofungicide has been proven to eliminate the existence of mold on grapes, it would be easier to narrow down the market pool and start by focusing more on vineyards. Because as with our discussion with Ms. Slater, she said that in order for these biofungicides to be used on crops, it has to say on the label that it's safe for the use of that crop. And since lysose biofungicide has been proven to be safe and efficient on grapes, it would be easier to target vineyards.